Hi, it's Darno with Wheels and Recipes, and today I'm going to be making some Amaranth Flour Waffles using the Oster extra large digital air fry oven. And the Amaranth flour, I'm going to be making it here from Amaranth Flakes. Amaranth is an alternative that you can use in some of your baking and things, and it has a much lower glycemic index. It's much more healthful than white flour, and so this is something to try if you want to try something a little different, but I'll show you the steps and you can determine from the outcome what you think. And we'll see how the cooker does with that. And let's get cooking right now. So as I was saying, I have amaranth flakes here. This is 1 cup of amaranth flakes, and I have to chop them to make them into amaranth flour, make them even finer than flakes. And I'm going to basically go ahead and chop these up now to make them finer. Alright, I think I've got things to a finer consistency here and should be able to work as a flour at this point. I guess I don't want to like grind them too much, and then it's like wouldn't be I guess they might start to clump if I grind them too much, so I don't want to do that. I mean, it's kind of like if you're grinding peanuts or something, you end up making peanut butter or something. I don't want to overdo it on grinding them, but I do want them finer than the amaranth flakes that I started with. And amaranth is a seed that is very helpful, as I was saying. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of the ingredients together. Alright, so let's go through the ingredients for this cook. I'm going to go through the dry ingredients first and then the wet ingredients. I've got 1 cup of my amaranth flour. Well, it was amaranth flakes, a cup of that, and then I chopped it up, so flour. So if there's a little more than a cup now, so be it. I've got, and I say a little more than a cup because after you chop things up, it might be a little more because of air getting in there and such. But anyway, we're going with it. I've got 2 teaspoons of baking powder. I've got 1 tablespoon of a granulated sweetener. I'm using a Erythro monk fruit blend. Just use whatever granulated sweetener you prefer from your own research of what's good for your health. I've got a 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt here. Now for the wet ingredients. I've got about 3/4 cup of water. I think I may have, well, it's under a cup, but I was trying to get 3/4 cup and I may have poured it just a little more. I've got 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and I've got 2 jumbo-sized duck eggs. If you're using chicken eggs, use 3 large chicken eggs. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to get the wet ingredients into the wet bowl. I'm going to get, well, actually this is the wet bowl. The wet ingredients into the wet bowl, the dry ingredients into the dry bowl. So I'll bring you back in a moment. Alright, so I've got the wet ingredients in the wet bowl, the dry in the dry. Turned the light off so you can see things better because I want you to see what I'm doing on the display here. And so I also want to mention I've got a waffle mold, a silicone waffle mold back here that I sprayed with some extra light olive oil. And I'm going to go ahead and hit bake here on the cooker. I'm going to go down to, I'm going to use 20 minutes, but I'm thinking it'll go faster. But I'm just going to hit start and let things preheat. Before I let things preheat, I'm going to go ahead and mix things into the dry bowl and start mixing all this stuff up. And once this is all mixed, then I'll get it all into the mold here, but we'll start preheating now. So, seems like things are starting to mix together pretty decent here. Let's see how the consistency goes. It's a little watery, but yeah, now the amaranth flakes or amaranth flour is starting to accept the water better, starting to accept the moisture better. It takes a bit of stirring. Initially it wasn't really taking the water in, but as I stir and continue to stir, it's thickening up. So you want to keep stirring until things get a bit thicker to a desired kind of thickness. It's not going to be really thick like a thick waffle batter, but you'll see when the water, well, the fluid from the eggs and the water and everything has been kind of soaked in some by the amaranth flour. And so now I'm going to take and just pour it into the waffle molds, trying to do it, I guess you could say, pseudo even. Alright, so I'll get things kind of evenly distributed amongst the 4 molds. We'll just let the preheat continue and then we'll get things on in there. I'll put it on the middle rack level. Alright, time to get things in. Now that it's all in, going to hit start. Let things cook for a while. Let's see if I can turn the, I just want to, without burning my hands or anything, outside of these cookers get hot, but just want to give you a better view when things are done so that you can see how things look. There's no light there in the cooker, but I just want you, when I pull it out, to be able to see more easily. So we'll let it cook for a while. I'll bring you on back. Alright, I've let things go for 10 minutes, and I think with the preheat and this cooker cooking things a little faster than most, yeah, they're done. I think they're done. Yeah, they feel done. So I'm just going to hit cancel there. Cooker has no pause, that's one drawback. So it's like you gotta go in and feel things without stopping to cook. But you see how they look here. You'll see how they look once I flip. I'm going to flip a couple over into the plate. A couple I'll just leave on the side in the mold. Let's see. Get them out of here. They're a little joined together still. I think they probably need more time. I got some out. I'm going to leave these others in there. I'm going to let them cook for like maybe another 5 minutes. I think I pulled them too early. So going down to 5. I'm going to let those, and skipping the preheat, let those go another 5. But these are the ones that came out early. I think they were a little, they felt like they were done. Things felt kind of bouncy in there. I know I could stick a fork in there or whatever, but you see, it's not like there's anything runny in there. They just, I think they were just a little undercooked now, because they didn't come out the mold very well. When things are well cooked, they come out the mold very well. So I'm going to give them another 5 and then take those out. And I'll get those on another plate here and we'll see how they look. But I think 15 minutes might be right. Alright, so 15 minutes now, we'll see how things go. I think it'll come out much better after giving things another 5 minutes. So, cancel on that. I'll open up very carefully. Things are pretty hot. On a good day, I can kind of grab the edges of the silicone with my bare hands quickly and get it out. Let's see. Put it on the plate here. Alright, so we got it on the plate and it comes out easier, comes out better. Still a little, still not a very neat, not super neat, but better. Better toasted looking waffle. So 15 minutes is probably about right. You know, I guess if I wanted to go a little longer, could, but somewhere in the 15-minute range works. So let's go ahead and do a taste test, although I could put all types of condiments and make this look beautiful for you. I like to test as is without anything covering it, so we taste what the actual product is alone. So thank God for some Amaranth waffles, and I'm going to take the fork and just kind of split it here, get a piece off. So let's taste. It's still kind of warm. Okay, as far as taste, I'll say it's a pretty plain taste. It's pretty plain. I mean, it's like, it's got the consistency of a soft waffle, a really softer side Belgian waffle. It's not a hard, crisp Belgian waffle. It's like a soft Belgian waffle, but it's really a plain taste. So it's really going to be as good as you dress it up as far as your condiments and such. I mean, that's just the way it is with this It comes out good. It's going to be healthful. I mean, it's just cooked amaranth, so super healthful. It's got, you know, a little bit of sweetener and such, but still, it's going to be very healthful as is. It depends on the condiments, and of course, you don't want to mess yourself up with condiments by giving yourself too many unhealthy things with condiments, but you can get some condiments and fruit and things that are going to add to the flavor so that, you know, it tastes, I guess, the way you want it to taste. But as is, it's just kind of, it's just pretty plain. I mean, that's just the fact of that. But all the same, you are able to take amaranth flakes, turn them into flour, make waffles with them, do baking with them, like that. And so I do like that you have that option, that alternative, and I hope that this helps you all in your baking and cooking things. Okay, so a different day here, part 2, because I've come up with a slightly different combination that works out better for things to not be as sticky in the waffle mold, so I wanted to show that to you. And most of the ingredients are the same, but I'm going to go through them again, the dry ingredients and the wet ingredients. There's 2 teaspoons of baking powder, a tablespoon of granulated sweetener, a 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt. There's the cup of amaranth flour that was chopped up from amaranth flakes again. One different dry ingredient, one additional one, is a 1/2 cup of whole wheat flour, finely ground whole wheat flour here. And I've got 1 cup of water again. I've got a teaspoon of vanilla extract and 2 large chicken eggs. I'm going to go ahead and get the wet and dry stuff into their bowls. Alright, I've got the wet and dry stuff in their bowls. I've got the waffle mold sprayed with some extra light olive oil. And so I'm going to go ahead and start warming up the cooker at 350. And I'm going to use the full 20 minutes this time. So putting it at 20 and let it preheat. And so I'll make sure to point out that extra light olive oil is not like your regular olive oil. If you're not familiar with extra light olive oil, look into that. Learn about it, learn why it is different from regular olive oil, because there are some people who see me use extra light olive oil and assume I'm using olive oil, which I am not. So make sure you learn about that. There's a cooking tips and health myths video here on the channel where I talk some more about oils and some other things, but I prefer it for my high heat cooking. Even though I'm only cooking at 350, it doesn't taint the flavor of things like a regular olive oil would. Alright, preheat is done. And go ahead and get this in here. There we go. And we'll let it go ahead and cook, and I'll bring you back. Alright, so things have gone full 20 minutes, and so I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel because it does a lot of beeping, and open up. I will say, when you're opening up, be careful of only touching the handle. The rest of this door gets really hot, but the handle is not a problem as long as you're on the handle. But this is our finished product here. And you see how that looks? It's pretty well done. I'm going to just basically flip. We'll try and flip a couple out onto this plate here. As I flip them out, let's see how they come out. It's coming out easier, but it's still a little stuck. Let's see. There we go. Alright. Probably if I let them cool a little bit, but still it came out with less mess than when you don't use the whole wheat powder. So I just knocked that little bit off in there. If I let them cool, they probably would have come out even better. But all the same, things stick together better when you use a little whole wheat powder in there. So I'll do a quick taste test with you with this. So thank God for some more waffles. Gonna do a quick taste of this. Just chop it with the fork there because it breaks easy. So do a quick one. Okay, in this case the whole wheat flour adds a little bit of flavor, and I have done these before. The whole wheat flour adds a little bit of flavor to it, whereas the amaranth flour basically has like no taste at all. The whole wheat flour adds a little bit. So they taste better with a little bit of whole wheat flour, and they come out of the molds easier. And this one probably was the one that came out the messiest of all when I've done it this way. It comes out pretty good doing it this way. If you let it cool a little more, it might come out even a little easier than that. But either way, it turns out good. And so this second method I prefer. I did want to show you both so that you see both ways. You can decide for yourself how you want to do it. If you are one who doesn't want any gluten type of flour in your waffle, then you might just do the straight amaranth without the wheat. But if you don't mind, then you can put a little in. Up to you. But all in the end, it turns out well. And so nothing in this video is sponsored. In the video description, there are lots of ways to help the channel, such as my cookbook, merch, membership, donations, all of that good stuff. You can always check out my blog, superwaveovenrecipes.com. And with all of that said, if you did like the video, please do give it a thumbs up, share the video with a friend, leave your comments, subscribe, hit that notification icon, and good eating.